Welcome to Bayanat, the heartbeat of tech in MENA. We bring you raw stories and sharp insights from the founders, investors, and leaders building the region's startup ecosystem. Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating world of Tambi Chaluka. He's a name that's really making significant waves across the MENA venture capital scene.
Yeah, it's definitely making waves.
Yeah. So we'll explore his remarkable journey. From being a young, curious gamer in Amman, Jordan, to eventually launching Maza Ventures. And that's a solo GP fund with a truly bold vision, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And what's truly fascinating here, and maybe this is the key thing for you listening, whether you're a founder searching for the right kind of backing, or maybe an investor looking for that next big opportunity, it's how Tambi really embodies this critical shift, the one many founders and investors in MENA are trying to navigate right now.
What shift is that exactly?
Well, his path, it isn't just about his own personal success story. It's almost like a blueprint for how the whole region can strategically move from being mainly a consumer of technology.
Right, which it has been for a while.
Exactly, to becoming a powerful, innovative producer of it. So this deep dive, it really offers a unique operator-first view on what truly drives impact, sustainable growth in our ecosystem.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit then. Where did it all kick off for Tambi? It's kind of a classic tech origin story, actually.
Isn't it often?
Right. Growing up in Jordan, he wasn't just, passively playing games on his soccer computer, that old 80s Arabic PC. Remember those?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Ahead of its time in some ways.
Totally. He was actually diving deep, teaching himself programming. He put it pretty simply. He said, I used to like gaming, which led me to learn programming.
That initial spark.
Exactly. That curiosity, that real hands-on way of figuring out how things work. Well, that eventually led him to found companies like Jobland App and Pios Rocket.
And Pios Rocket was a success story, wasn't it? Acquired by Foodix.
It was. Which proved he could not just build, but build something really valuable.
And this entrepreneurial spark, this, having actually been there, done that, it's absolutely crucial for an investor. I can't stress that enough.
Why is it so crucial, do you think? More than just empathy?
Well, yeah, it's more than empathy. When you've literally been in the trenches, right? When you've navigated the whole product development cycle, market entry, team building, you genuinely get the immense pressure.
Right.
You understand the setbacks that will happen and just the sheer grit founders need every single day.
So it translates into practical advantages.
Exactly. This operator's perspective, it means you can anticipate common founder pitfalls maybe, or offer really practical advice on product market fit. You might even spot an early stage pivot that someone with just a finance background might miss.
Interesting.
It's about speaking the founder's language, truly understanding the build cycle, not just the buy cycle of investing. We've seen it in Silicon Valley, right? Iconic firms like Sequoia, Kleiner Perkins, A16s, started by operators. And Tambi seems determined to fill that gap in MENA, bringing in investors who really understand the journey because they've built companies themselves, infusing the ecosystem with that essential founder DNA.
Okay, but building and selling successful products, that wasn't the end game for him. He had this major realization that shifted his focus completely.
What was that?
He realized MENA didn't just need more cool startups. It desperately needed stronger, more robust capital infrastructure to actually sustain them.
The funding gap.
Yeah. He saw so many promising founders struggling, not because they lacked skill or vision, but simply because limited funding just stopped them in their tracks.
It's a familiar story in emerging ecosystem.
Right. So for him, venture capital became this natural, almost inevitable next step, a role he says he embraced rather than just chose. He wanted to empower those coming after him.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it really does highlight a common sort of structural challenge you see in lots of nascent ecosystems globally. Well, historically, many funds, maybe even in MENA, started with a purely financial background first, right? Maybe they picked up operational experience later, or maybe not at all.
Right.
Tambi, coming in with his deep operational background, represents a critical shift. He genuinely wanted to be the kind of backer he wished he'd had when he was building.
Someone who gets it.
Exactly. Someone bringing capital plus genuine empathy and practical guidance. That founder-first mentality, that lived experience, brought directly to the investment side, seeing the potential and the struggles through the entrepreneur's eyes.
And this philosophy, it directly led him to co-found Propeller with Zaid Farik. And the results, they really spoke for themselves.
They certainly did. That first fund delivered, what was it?
An impressive 3.5x return with 3 successful exits.
Wow, that's a huge signal, especially for first-time managers anywhere, let alone in a dynamic market like MENA.
Absolutely. And their second fund, which is now fully deployed, it backs a strong list of regional leaders and some emerging global players too.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Go on.
For Tambi, success wasn't about quick wins or just flipping companies. He explicitly said, I don't want fast exits. They might look good on paper, but they don't create enduring companies or real returns.
Patience, long-term view.
Exactly. So after building Propeller into this success, he felt an even deeper pull to start fresh again, to rebuild something entirely his own. And that led to launching Maza Ventures, which, well, begs the question.
Yeah, it really does. Why leave a successful, thriving venture like Propeller? Especially after getting such strong returns, it's a critical point.
So what's the thinking there?
Well, Tambi identifies himself as a builder at heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Maza Ventures seems to represent a return to that creative, almost raw, early-stage energy. A craving, perhaps, for the freedom to rebuild on his own terms.
And the name, Maza.
Maza means moon in Circassian, which signals this ambition for moonshot.
Oh.
Backing entrepreneurs tackling those fundamental, often really complex scientific or technical problems in tech, markets, society, where the payoff, if it works, is massive, but the journey is inherently risky and long-term.
Not just about the quick financial return, then.
Seems not. For him, it feels more like it's about a bigger mission.
Right.
Shifting MENA from just consuming tech to actually producing intellectual property and world-class products.
Like a generational shift.
Exactly. He talks about wanting the next generation to grow up seeing global technology that proudly carries a MENA origin. It's a vision that requires, frankly, incredible patience and a real stomach for risk.
That is a powerful and ambitious vision for Maza. So currently, Maza's closing a $15 million fund, right?
That's the target.
Aiming to back around 40 pre-seed companies. Average checks about $150K, so this isn't playing it safe.
Definitely not.
It's about taking calculated risks on ambitious founders, especially in areas like deep tech. We're talking AI, advanced computing, biotech, robotics.
Fields known for long R&D cycles, high capital needs.
But also huge potential for paradigm shifts.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to back technical teams solving global problems, even if the path isn't totally clear yet. But building on your point about risk, how do you fund such a bold vision? Fundraising for early stage, let alone deep tech, isn't exactly easy.
No, it isn't. And Tambi's fundraising process is actually quite unique here.
How so?
Well, what's fascinating is his strategy. He's building this broad base of LPs, limited partners, the investors in the fund. He has 47 so far.
Okay.
And he deliberately chose not to just anchor the fund with a few big institutional LPs. Instead, he's treating these LPs almost like early users.
Like a startup treats its first customers.
Kind of. Pitching them, iterating, refining his model based on their feedback. He even mentioned refining his investment target from maybe 100 companies down to around 40 because of this feedback loop. Shows how much he values their input.
So it's not just about the money they bring.
Exactly. It's about surrounding Maza with this diverse network. People who can add real value to the founders beyond just the check. It mirrors the speed and adaptability he had as a founder.
Interesting. Applying that customer-centric focus to his LPs.
Yeah. And apparently his hit rate, the percentage of potential LPs he actually converts, is around 25%, which is pretty strong, actually, given how tailored his fund is.
And he's even exploring this innovative, maybe even provocative idea for the big mandate-driven investors like sovereign wealth funds.
Right, the first loss concept.
Yeah, explain that a bit. He's suggesting they take on more of the initial risk.
Essentially, yes. The idea is they would be the first capital to absorb any potential losses in the fund. This creates a theoretically fairer balance for traditional LPs.
And it's tied to how much they want invested locally.
That's the proposal. The more capital an LP wants invested in their specific country, the larger their share of this initial first loss risk might be. It's a really bold thought on how you might de-risk venture for others.
Definitely bold. And beyond that, he strongly believes the region needs more venture capitalists, not just bigger ones. That kind of pushes back against conventional wisdom, doesn't it?
It does, and it raises a really important question for you listening, whether you're an investor or a founder. Tambi argues that more VCs, even smaller ones, mean more shots on goal.
More chances for founders.
Yeah, more diverse opportunities for founders to iterate, learn, maybe fail, and try again. A single large fund doesn't automatically mean more deals get done. Often, they just end up writing larger checks with roughly the same size team,
Right.
whereas multiple smaller independent funds, they bring different perspectives, cover a wider range of sectors, and maybe collectively, they make more total investments, fostering a more resilient, more dynamic ecosystem.
Makes sense. But there are challenges there too, surely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
While the idea of more VCs is compelling, you have to ask practical questions like how do you ensure the quality of all these new funds?
Hmm.
And what about the limited pool of really experienced fund managers in MENA right now?
Good point.
And we also can't ignore that structural challenge in the region. There's a significant lack of those deep-pocketed LPs, like endowments or pension funds, that are traditionally willing to invest big in venture. They often remain pretty risk-averse.
Which makes Tambi's first loss idea potentially quite clever for unlocking new capital sources.
Exactly. It's trying to address that specific bottleneck.
Okay, so given all these factors, why the solo GP path for Maza, it's a very specific structure, can be demanding.
It is demanding. Tambi says it's primarily about speed, focus, and independence. He actually said, and I'm quoting here, I can move faster. I can support people faster.
Fewer layers.
Pretty much. He wants to dedicate his time to what he feels matters most. Finding and supporting founders, building connections, just getting things done without the layers of hierarchy or, internal politics that can sometimes slow down bigger firms.
And he sees the limited bandwidth of being solo not as a weakness.
Apparently not. More like a forcing function, a way to prioritize ruthlessly and operate smarter.
Interesting perspective.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it really reflects this strong desire he has to avoid becoming just another traditional financial institution, the kind that can sometimes lose touch with the actual entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
He's inspired by models like Benchmark over in the Valley, envisioning this lean group of partners where each one sources, wins, and supports deals pretty independently, no big top-down hierarchy. He really stresses that independence is really important.
But surely there are trade-offs. Going solo.
Of course. While it's agile, how does he ensure diverse perspectives in decision-making when it's ultimately just him calling the shots? What about the potential for burnout trying to manage potentially 40 portfolio companies alone?
That's a lot.
It is. His answer seems to lie in building that really strong network of LPs and advisors he's cultivated, essentially creating this sort of distributed brain trust that can augment his own focus.
So it's not just him in a way.
In a way, no. And for Tambi, it seems his legacy isn't only about the financial returns. He hopes his LPs feel part of a really rewarding journey, something marked by growth, friendships, a true sense of belonging.
He wants the LP experience to be different.
Yeah, he said, LP-ship is different. It should be engaging and fruitful. And for the founders he backs, he hopes to be remembered as someone who helped them genuinely raise their ambitions, proving that building big world-class companies for MENA is truly possible.
Leaving the ecosystem stronger.
More confident, more connected, and profoundly more ambitious. That seems to be the goal.
Wow. Okay, so Tambi Jaluka's journey and Maza Ventures, they really challenge us, don't they, to think differently about how we build and fund companies in MENA, pushing us way beyond the traditional models.
Definitely pushes us and
Yeah.
asks us to embrace a vision that's, well, both audacious and deeply rooted in that real-world operator experience.
So the provocative thought to leave everyone with.
Right. This raises, I think, an important question. If the future of venture in MENA really does lie in more of these operator-led, agile, maybe mission-driven funds like Maza, what role will you play in shaping that future, whether you're a founder, an investor, or maybe just an engaged observer watching it all unfold?
Something to think about. For more stories like this, subscribe to Bionauts newsletter and stay updated on the latest in MENA's tech and startup ecosystem.